Vintage GI Joe collectors, you might want to see this. These new Delta 17 figures might be the closest thing I've seen to that classic GI Joe style in a really long time. Today I've got 3 of them right here, and we're going to crack them open and see how they actually stack up not only to the vintage GI Joe, but also the closest thing we've got in today's market, Super 7 Reaction Plus figures. Just looking at them in the package, they already give off some serious old school Joe vibes. But the real question is, do they actually hold up when you put them side by side? Alright, let's bust them out of these plastic prisons and take a closer look at Delta 17. Let's start off this unboxing with the most recent of the characters that I purchased, that being Shepard. As you can see here, he is the Delta 17. I think that he might be one of the leaders. I'm not quite sure. But as you can see, the packaging is very reminiscent of the old GI Joe packaging. And just for comparison, I have here a Super 7. Super 7 is basically a carbon copy of what GI Joe was doing back in the 80s. So you have similar designs. On top of the card, you'll have the name of the brand, in this particular case being Delta 17, War in the Shadows, GI Joe, a real American hero, of course. You'll have the name of the figure on the bottom in Delta 17's case. There at the bottom you see Shepard. In the case of GI Joe, you'll have it on top of the plastic part of the card. So the cards are very similar. Obviously Delta 17 has their own design, and just here on the bottom left-hand corner, they have the design of the member of which team this particular character is on. And you'll see differences in the other figure that I'm going to show here. I am going to be showing 3 figures, starting off with Shepard. And if we flip in the back, you'll see a very similar file card to the old school GI Joes. So for example, in this particular case, here you'll see Big Lob's card, and here you'll see a Shepard's card. So this is great, gives us a little bit of background of who this character is, which always adds to the feature of these characters. You're not just simply getting a plastic figure, but you're getting an actual character that's in some sort of storyline. I think that Delta Toys also has, Delta 17 Toys also has a comic book. They have issue number 1, so you have a storyline as well. And just for any of you that are interested in getting these toys, there's the website, Delta17Toys.com. Go on their website. You can purchase these figures. You can also purchase the comic book, I believe, and you'll find that there. I don't have any association with Delta 17 Toys. I have met Ken Poe, one of the owners, once or twice at local toy shows, but I'm not getting anything from him, so this is going to be an honest review. I have 3 of these. I haven't opened them, so I'll be opening them today. And the reaction that you'll be seeing is the very initial honest reaction that I'm going to get when I open these up and I compare them to the Reaction Plus figures and also the old school GI Joe. So continuing on here, looking at the card, you also have here, I believe this is the picture of the good guys of Delta 17. So here are and this was the first line, if I'm not mistaken. So there you have a picture of them. So this gives you another indication of other people that you might want to look for if you're deciding to collect this line. Now, I'm not going to read the file card to you, but if you're interested, certainly you can always pause and take a look for yourself. If you take a look at the characters here on the good side, indicated by, I'm assuming, the emblem of the good guys, you'll see Shepard, Leonidas, Preacher, Rooster, which I will also be unboxing today. I had to get Rooster, of course, with the name of this channel being Royal Roosters Collectibles. So when you thought that made sense. And you got Kestrel, and then you have Delta Squad, which I think are Army Builder figures. And then on this side, you have the emblem of the bad guys, I believe, and you have the figures there with Shadow Dragon, Jaguar, Okami, and then another group of bad guys. I'm assuming, again, I'm not familiar with the storyline here. I do intend to maybe pick up the comic book off of Delta17 Toys so I can get into this. And then you have Thunder Battalion, which I also think is a troop building figure. So there you go. There's the card. Again, similar to the old school Delta17, or excuse me, the Reaction Plus figures. You have the figures in the line shown on top, and then you have a file card. So Delta17 has taken on a little bit to put a little bit more on the back of their cards, and that only makes sense because they're a new brand, a new toy line, and are giving a little bit something more to the collector out there that isn't familiar with the toy brand. So there you go, and there's the card for you. And I'm going to open this up, and while I open up this figure, please stand by, and I'll be right back after these messages. All right, so I busted Shepard out of his plastic prison, and as soon as I started pulling everything out, initially I started going oohing and awing, and I really want to capture here my first impressions of these figures. So I turned back on the camera, so I put things aside. So let's start off by just looking at the figure. So one of the cool things about the card is that really, and I've seen this before in other people's videos, I just made 3 little cuts, and I did a poor job on my first one, but you do a cut here, you did a little cut here, here, and here, and you actually preserve the file card. And that is a huge improvement over the Reaction Plus figures. As you can see here, and I made a mess of this, and that's just because it was glued a lot more than the Delta17. So the way that the Delta17 did this is that they really ended up preserving the card. As you can see, have done a really good, masterful job of gluing this in a way that then you can take it out of the package, and it will be the card itself will be preserved for those of us like me that like to preserve the artwork of these figures. So fantastic job right there. They've got, as you can see, they have Reaction Plus beat there right from the very beginning. All right. So there's Shepard. He's freshly out of the package. Let's take a look at this figure. One of the things is, as soon as I started to move Shepard's head, is just how easy it is. It is, let me get the light here so you can actually see what I'm doing. So it is incredible movement. Seems that it has a lot more range of movement than the Reaction Plus figures. You'll see the similar joint movements as the old school Joes, as well as the Reaction Plus figures, except with one awesome exception, and that being that the wrist moves. So that will add a lot more ability to pose these figures. And that's something that I don't know why the Reaction Plus figures haven't done that. The technology is out there, obviously, but they haven't. So these are O-ring figures, of course. So they move very similar to the old school GI Joes, and really just I'm amazed at how easily it is to move the figure around. Just the way that it moves, there's no cracking or sometimes it can get stiff. In this particular case, it is moving just fantastic. So it's got the similar knee joints or knee bent that you see. The ankles don't rotate, but I think that's actually quite good, considering that some of these modern figures are almost impossible to stand up because the ankles bend so much. But there is Shepard. So there is Shepard, as you can see, and it's just a great looking sculpt. So here's a close-up of what he looks like. Wow, I mean, bright colors, well painted. You don't see slip-ups in the paint. You do see that a lot with older figures. And with this particular figure, you're not seeing at all that slip up in the paint. Just fantastic little details to it. It doesn't feel like the Reaction Plus figure. The Reaction Plus figure, it feels lighter, and it feels a little bit. I've heard people say it feels cheaper, and it does feel cheaper. And considering that these figures are about the same price, and in fact, you could probably get these Delta 17 figures for a little bit cheaper. That's something. That's something that Delta 17 did right. Looks fantastic, great look figure. Look at the details. I mean, that fold in the shirt is the detail that we like to see in the figures. Really good. I mean, if I put Big Lob here and you just look at the difference, just look at the difference in the quality. It seems like in the molding of the plastic, the much more detail is given to Delta 17 than it is to the Reaction Plus figures, and that's just amazing. I mean, just look at the pants, and when I'm holding them in my hands, the Big Lob is much lighter than the Delta 17 figure. The plastic seems to be a lot thinner on the Reaction Plus figure than the Delta 17, and you could just tell. I mean, just look at the detail of the pants. You look at Big Lob's pants, and they're straight, plain, and then you can see the folds in the Delta 17 figure in the pants. A lot more detail, a lot more attention seems to have been given to the Delta 17 figure, and makes it seem a lot better here at this point when I'm holding it in my hand. I mean, this is just great. Right. The other big notable difference, as I stand up Big Lob here, the other big notable difference is you get with the Super7 Reaction Plus figures, you get one accessory. In the case of Big Lob, you got a gun. With this fellow here, with Shepherd, there are a variety of things that you get. So here you have a backpack. There are, let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things, including the stand, which, again, the Reaction Plus figures don't come with. So here's the backpack. Very similar to what we see with the old school GI Joes. And then, not only do you have a backpack, you have a really awesome helmet. So there is the helmet. Great looking helmet, and the helmet actually comes with a little pair of these tiny looking night ray vision goggles. So that is awesome. Okay, now that I'm gonna put the night goggles on. So there is with the night goggles on, and so that's what he looks like with his night goggles on. Just a great looking figure, but that's what he looks like. That's what he looks like with his night goggles. Fantastic looking. So there's 3 accessories right there. And then you have this fantastic machine gun. So again, just look at the detail of that thing. Really well made, really nice looking machine gun. I mean, when you compare that to what you have here with Bagel Hob, and wow, just look at the difference in detail. Delta 17 went out of their way to add as much detail as they could to their guns. So he then comes with a second gun, and that comes as well. And then not only that, and I wish that, and I don't know why Super 7 doesn't do this, but it comes with a stand. Every modern action figure needs to come with a stand. These things are being made for adult collectors for the most part. Collectors that pose them more than they play with them, take pictures of them more than they play with them, and they need to have stands so that we can stand them up and show them off. So this is a great job. So let's put this individual, and it just goes in oh, it just goes in smoothly. Perfect. You're not trying to shove something into a stand that it wasn't really made for. Just absolutely great. So that's what he looks like. Let's get rid of this guy. And I heard that, or I've seen in other people's reviews of this guy, that you can actually put everything on him, which I absolutely love in figures. Right? So everything goes in this guy's hands or go into this guy's backpack. And fantastic figure. I think, if I'm not mistaken here, if my eyes don't deceive me, there's even a little tattoo on the right forearm. Wow, what great detail. Kind of hard to see there. Let's see if I can zoom it in. So yeah, looks like there's a Delta 17 tattoo on his right forearm. Like, that is the detail that makes these toys stand out above the rest, in my humble opinion. What a great job. Wow. And wow, does not look fantastic. That is Shepard. What an incredible looking figure. I've brought out Shockwave just for comparisons, and that fits in to the old school GI Joe line, probably better than the Reaction Plus figures. The only thing that Reaction Plus has on that Delta 17 figure is that they have the naming rights to GI Joe, so they can put GI Joe on the packages. They can make figures from the movie and from the cartoons, but quality-wise, Delta 17, I mean, I don't have to open up the others. I'm definitely going to. But Delta 17 just do a much better job at making figures. Just absolutely awesome. I mean, it fits right in. It really does. In my hand, they're about the same weight. I think Shockwave's a little bit heavier, maybe because his backpack is enormous. But looking at the details that they've gone into, the paint applications, this is a figure that it would have been sold with GI Joe and equal to GI Joe back in the 80s. Certainly, this is a closer fit to GI Joe of the 1980s than the Reaction Plus figures. They just don't have the licensing right. They just don't have the names. These are new characters, but man, this can easily go into your GI Joe collection and into any dioramas. Like I have dioramas, this will go easily into my diorama right next to the Joes and right next to the Cobras. Awesome figure, love it. Let's move on to our next figure. So the next figure that I'm going to show you here is Rooster, and this is fellow's name I probably will not forget, similar to the channel. So obviously, when I saw this character in the line with the name of my channel, I thought makes complete sense and totally warranted to get this figure. So although I don't collect modern toys, I do make an exception here for Delta 17 because they're such awesome figures. So here's the packaging, similar to that of Shepard. Here you have the emblem for Delta 17. So you'll have the same type of backing as well. As you can see, there are the figures of Delta 17. Here is Rooster's file card. And for any of you that are interested in reading that, go ahead and pause now and you can read his file card. And you can see, again, the characters that are included. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to see if I can open up this package as I did Shepard's without ruining the artwork. So let's see what happens. All right. Please stand by, and I'll be back right after these messages. Okay, so I've freed Rooster from his plastic prison, and again, I wasn't as fortunate with this card, but still opened really easy. Came out super easy. The majority of the artwork remains untouched. So the same type of articulation as Shepard. Again, you can see the great paint features on this thing. You can certainly see the detail that's been given to the paint application on it, and also the molding of it. Again, it's not that Super 7 sort of plain, straight arms and legs. There's actually definition to it, to the materials and to the face. So that is Rooster right there. Similar articulation to Shepherd. Obviously, I'm not going to go through it again, but this is what he looks like. So he's got a fantastic vest there, where he carries his extra clips for his weapon. And as we go down, you'll see the boots. So you have the boots, you have the knee pads, you have the gun that's molded into the legs on the right leg, and then you have this really cool knife in the on the back of his flak jacket. So looks fantastic, and again, he just comes with a plethora of goodies. So the stand, which I think is probably the most important feature, and again, I wish that Super 7 would include these. So it goes in smoothly, just perfectly in there. So let me set him up here in the background as I show you with all the goodies that this guy came with. So he came with a backpack, and this backpack comes apart. I just put it together. So the antenna, here. So the antenna is removable, and then I'm assuming that this is then a phone receiver, and that's removable as well. And then this whole piece, which is the radio, I'm assuming, it can come off the actual backpack, and you can actually use it separately. So one of the interesting things about this particular accessories is that it comes with an extra, or I'm assuming is an extra antenna. And considering that these little pieces get lost often, this was a great little idea that the guys over at Delta17 thought that they should include with this particular figure, and it's a great idea. So when we lose one antenna, we still have another. And finally, he comes with this great looking machine gun. Just love the tip of the machine gun, just the way that it's done. Again, really cool looking weapon. A lot of detail to the weaponry. So again, heads and tails above the Reaction Plus figures by far. So again, Delta17 wins out here. So let's put this guy together. And again, everything that, sorry about that, everything that comes with the figure, you can put on the figure. I mean, the weaponries, they slide really easy into the hands. A lot of time with the with the Reaction Plus figures, I find that it's you have to sort of force their weapons into their hands, and in this particular case with the Delta17, you don't. Super great looking figure, man. Wow, just absolutely awesome. Great looking figure. Look at that. Look at that face. Look at that sculpt. Does he look awesome or what? He just looks like one mean dude that you wouldn't want to mess with. And he's a good guy. So great look. Again, just for comparison, I'm putting next to Shockwave here. And I picked Shockwave really because I thought it was one of the better GI Joes, sculpted GI Joes, accessory GI Joes that came out later in the year, because I really wanted a fair comparison to the Delta17. And as you can see, so far both of these figures easily hold up to a Shockwave, not only in how they feel and what they weigh. The Delta17 weighs a little bit less. Again, I think it's just because of the gigantic backpack on Shockwave. But as you can see, they hold up. I mean, Shockwave is probably, in my humble opinion, one of the better molded figures, one of the better painted figures of the line. Certainly of 1987, 87, I think he came out in, or 88, one of those years. Anyways, one of the better painted, one of the better molded figures. And Delta17 easily holds up to that. So he looks great. He looks fantastic. I mean, with Shockwave, he can easily hold up. He can easily fit into any type of pictures that you want to do, any type of dioramas you want to create, these figures will easily fit side by side. Saying that, when we hold up the Big Lob, for example, you could just, I mean, just look at the quality in the plastic, in the molding. Take a look at those arms, look at the definition on Rooster, look at the just the attention that's given to detail compared to Big Lobs. And I mean, yes, I mean, here he has bare arms, but even looking at his pants, I mean, take a look at how much attention and detail is given to the pants compared to that of Big Lobs. All right, so that is Rooster, and I have one more figure, and I think it's probably the best one out of all of them. So here we have Death Sparrow, and she is one of the bad guys in this particular faction with the wolf on it. I'm not sure what it is, and I apologize to Ken if he is watching, and or his partner there. But this is Death Sparrow. This is the figure that really brought me to the line. When I saw this figure, I thought, holy smokes, this can easily fit into the GI Joe diorama that I have. Reminds me a lot of the October Guard, and I'll do some comparisons with what I think is probably the best female GI Joe ever done, and that being the Baroness. So I do have her. I'm going to pull her out. I'm going to do a comparison here, and then I'm going to show it all to you and see if this figure does compare to probably the best female figure ever made in the GI Joe line, and that being the Baroness. So let's take a quick look at the card here. So the back, again, is just the same as the others. I will focus here on the file card. For those of you that want to read, go ahead and pause now and give it a read. And next time that you'll see me after these messages, I'll have her out of her prison, and we'll go over that. So we'll be right back after these messages.
Well, I mean, we've got the new independent toy line here that launched in 2024. We got multiple factions, heroes versus villains, traditional story, but we've got a lot of modern military type of stuff along with some more sci-fi futuristic techie stuff going on. Right. So, yeah, that's where we're at in the world of toys right now.
When you say techie, you're talking about just the Hill store, or is there more?
Well, I mean, you got the Okamis, right?
Oh,
You've
yeah.
got the... Yeah, you got the Red Okami and the regular Red Okami. Army Builder right there. Our main bad guy, Shadow Dragon, is here somewhere. I'm just on the other side of the... So I can't really see him right now, but he's around here.
You got your comic book too.
We got the comic book, issue number 1. Right? Oh yeah, Shadow Dragon's missing from it. Oh no, he's right there. He's right over there.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I went and took Death Sparrow out of the package. Again, as you can see, only slight... paint removal, and I have seen people on YouTube do a lot better job than I do. I think if I were a little bit more patient with it, they'd all look like that first file card of Shepard. There she is. What a face sculpt. That is an incredible looking face sculpt. Incredible figure. Looks absolutely fantastic. I love that red star on top of her, or on the front of her hat there. Just look at that. Isn't that just unbelievable? Bright colors, fantastic detail. If I just pull it out here and just see what she looks like. And again, the articulation. This one's a little bit stiffer than the other two with the head movement. But still, okay. I mean, it's got the same articulation. It's got the same similar movements as the other two figures that I've already reviewed. So I'm not going to go over the articulation. Great articulation, great looking figure, great application, fantastic mold, a lot of detail again with this particular figure, right down to the boots, to the laces on the boots, on the side with the holster there molded into the leg. It's got again great detail. So if I can just get this in here to focus, so there it has her emblem of the bad guys on her right arm, so similar to Shepard's tattoo. So it's got these little fantastic details, which we saw with original Joes. So they had, some of them had that type of little emblems on their actual mold or paint application on their figure. So a great looking figure, Death Sparrow, fantastic looking figure. And that face, I mean, that is just awesome. So maybe a little bit of more detail could have been used in the ears there, but I don't have much to complain. Mine seems to might have a little bit of, I can put this thing in focus, might have something there in her, a little bit of a defect in mine there on the chin and the neck, just a little bit, but I'm happy with the figure. This is really a great looking figure. So just by comparison, or before we get to comparison, let's show what she has. Again, absolutely invaluable stand for the figure. So that's what she looks like there. So there she is. That's Sparrow. Looks absolutely awesome. She doesn't come with a lot of accessories compared to the other two fellows, but she still comes with 2 accessories. So that's still double the accessories that most Super 7 come with. So right there, again, beating out. So we have here a backpack. So that's the backpack that she comes with. So I love the old school grenade hanging there, the type of grenades that we used to see in old World War II movies, what the Germans used to throw, or the Nazis. Better said Nazis, I guess. And then you have just a great looking backpack. Again, really nice detail, and you get a backpack, and that's saying a lot compared to Super 7, which of course most times you don't even get a backpack. So that's a great looking backpack, and one of the best guns that I've seen is this, and I don't know the appropriate name for these guns, but I remember them being referred to as Tommy guns in old movies. I think it's, if I recall correctly, I think Home Alone, in the very first Home Alone, there's a reference to the Tommy gun in that movie that Macaulay Culkin is watching. I've always known these guns as being called Tommy guns. Again, look at the fantastic detail that right down to the faux wood on it, on the handle and on the end of the barrel, or close to the end of the barrel. Great, fantastic looking gun. Even the what do they call that? The stock made it hollowed out, which I'm assuming is done so in real life to make the gun lighter. And here they didn't cheap out and just put a triangle total plastic there. They hollowed it out to make it look like the real thing, or to make it look better than had they not done that. So great looking Tommy gun, fantastic, and it goes well with her because same colors. So let's put this on her and let's see what she looks like. So again, putting the gun in the figure's hand is really easy. It goes in, you don't have to force it. It slides perfectly in. I mean, it is made for this particular figure. The backpack, again, it goes in so easily, and it just sticks on. You don't have to really ram it in there. You put it on, and it stays there. So great job. So now here's the lipness test. Let's put her up against probably the greatest female GI Joe, in this case Cobra figure ever made, the Baroness. So when you take a look at these two, and put them side by side. And remember, this is the greatest female G.I. Joe figure ever made. And that Sparrow, she holds her own. I mean, just take a look at that. Wow, they just fantastic. She really holds her own. The Baroness figure is absolutely, 10 out of 10 when it comes to character, when it comes to G.I. Joe figures. She had everything. But Death Sparrow easily holds up to the Baroness, and the quality. Again, the detail that's done. I mean, if you take a look at her shirt sleeve, just the detail, the folds, what you would see in real life with a shirt. It's not just a straight a flat surface that you see with the Super 7s. I mean, at this point, I have CoverGirl and I have Jinx, but I'm not going to pull them out because when it comes to quality, it's obvious at this point to me that this figure is Delta 17 figures are much better built, are far superior in quality to that of Super 7, and certainly worth the money that you pay for them, above and beyond that similar price that you pay for Super 7s. You get your money's worth. Great job, Delta 17. Again, Baroness, greatest GI Joe female figure of all time. Death Sparrow came out a year ago, can easily hold up to the Baroness when it comes to quality. So absolutely fantastic figure. Wow. Just really cool figure. Delta 17, you guys hit a home run with these figures. Ain't no doubt about it. All right, folks, there you have it. That is the Delta 17 toy line. Tell me in the comments if you have these figures, and if you do, what you think of them. And if you don't have these figures and you collect Joes, are you going to get these figures? I want to know. Until next time, folks, if you're interested and you want to take a look at one of my videos on reviewing Reaction Plus figures, then you can take a look at this video right here. And if you want to take a look at my playlist of recollecting GI Joes in 2026, then take a look at the videos right here. So until next time, as always, happy memory hunting.